Mom, Dad, set you up. My daughter saved me from my husband's evil plot with Mistress. Hello family, welcome back. Please do well to subscribe and let's know where you are watching the story from in the comment section. Rain slid down the wide windows of the Miller house in Houston, thin lines of water racing each other to the sill. The street was quiet, the kind of quiet that made every small sound feel louder. In the kitchen, a pot of gumbo simmered on low. The clock ticked, the dryer hummed. Everything smelled like onions and warm spice. Evelyn Miller stirred the pot without tasting it. She kept glancing toward the hallway where her husband's office sat behind a closed door. Marcus had been in there for an hour with the door shut. That wasn't new. He worked long hours as a real estate broker, but today he had set a limit. He had looked at her over coffee and said, "Please, no interruptions." "I've got a high-stakes call." Evelyn respected work. She prided herself on that, but the rain, the silence, the door, it all pressed on her nerves. She checked her phone. Kayla, their 16-year-old daughter, had texted after school, "Home, going to shower, love you." There were heart emojis, cute, normal, safe. Evelyn turned off the stove and wiped her hands on a towel. She could hear the murmur of Marcus's voice through the hallway, just a low rumble. It sounded like him when he talked to clients who needed calming down. She smiled to herself, then frowned. The rumble sharpened. His tone turned hard. She stepped out of the kitchen, soft feet on the wood floor. She didn't plan to eavesdrop. She told herself she was going to ask if he wanted rice with the gumbo, that's all. Rice. Practical. Reasonable. By the time she reached the office door, Marcus's voice was clear enough to understand. "Once she's gone, we can have everything." Evelyn's hand froze inches from the doorknob. The house seemed to shrink, walls pressing in, air thinner. She closed her eyes to steady herself. Gone? Who? He paused, listening to whoever was on the other end. Then he spoke again, sharper. "No, listen. It has to look clean. I can't have questions. Not with the policy." The policy. Her mind grabbed that word like a hook. What policy? She swallowed, lips dry, throat tight. She had a sudden picture of Marcus as she first knew him. Smiling, neat beard, that careful way he folded his sleeves. He had told her once that he hated mess, hated chaos. "Chaos is how you lose money," he had said. She had laughed. They had been in love then. Now the laugh felt like it belonged to someone else. She turned the knob and opened the door. Marcus sat at his desk, one hand on his laptop, the other holding his phone. He looked up quickly. A smile moved across his face like a light switched on. Too fast. "Hey," he said. He covered the mouthpiece and tilted his head. "Babe, can I finish this? It's a client meltdown." Evelyn stood in the doorway, trying to keep her face calm. "Do you want rice with the gumbo?" she asked. She heard how flat her voice sounded and hated it. "Always," he said with a little grin. "You know me?" "Okay." She turned away, then turned back. "Who are you talking to?" "Daryl," he said, naming a loan officer she'd met once at a company mixer. He's spooked. Interest rates are playing games. "Right," she said. She held his eyes for a second. They were bright, steady. He was good at looking steady. "Rice," he said, as if the word were a gentle joke. "Yes." She closed the door and walked back to the kitchen, heart banging so hard she could feel it in her wrists. She spooned rice into a bowl. Her hands shook. A few grains fell on the counter. She brushed them away and stared at the white bowl until the blur in her eyes cleared. Footsteps padded down the hall. Kayla entered in an oversized hoodie and fresh curls, face clean from her shower. She kissed her mum's cheek. "Smells good," she said, peering into the pot. "Is Dad eating with us?" "In a minute," Evelyn said. "He's on the phone." Kayla watched her mother, head tilted like she was reading a sign. "You okay?" "Yeah," Evelyn said too quickly. "Set the table, please." They ate at the kitchen island because the rain made the dining room feel too formal. Marcus joined them a few minutes later, phone in his pocket, easy smile on. He complimented the gumbo. He told a story about a client who wanted to stage a house with a giant taxidermy deer. I said, "Sir, this is Houston, not a hunting lodge." They laughed. They always laughed at his stories. Evelyn tried to ask normal questions. "How's the office? Any closings this week?" He answered with ease. He asked Kayla about her history test. He teased her about her playlist. He wiped his bowl clean with bread and kissed Evelyn's hand when he took his dish to the sink. Sweet, gentle, practiced. After dinner, he said he had to go back to the office for one more call. "It's new construction in Katy," he said. "Developers get weird at night." "Take an umbrella," Evelyn said. He winked and kissed her cheek. "Yes, ma'am." The door closed. The rain swallowed him up. Kayla stood in the doorway of the kitchen and watched her mother watch the door. She folded her arms. "Mom?" Evelyn turned. "What is it, baby?" Kayla's lips pressed together like she was holding in words. Then she sighed. "I need to talk to you. But you have to promise you won't tell Dad." The room moved again, like someone had pulled the floor a few inches to the side. Evelyn set the dish towel down. "Okay," she said. "I'm listening." Kayla glanced down the empty hall, then back to her mother. Her eyes were bright, a little scared. "Not here," she whispered. "Your room." They went upstairs. Evelyn closed the bedroom door and sat on the edge of the bed. Kayla sat next to her, knees close together, hands twisting in the sleeves of her hoodie. "Talk to me," Evelyn said softly. Kayla took a breath. "Dad has a girlfriend." The words landed like stones. There it was, simple, blunt, like a bruise you knew was there but didn't press because you didn't want to feel it. Evelyn didn't move. She focused on breathing, in, outside. "How do you know?" she asked. "I saw her," Kayla said, "more than once." "When?" "The first time was in June. You went to Dallas for Aunt Denise's surprise party, remember? You left Friday morning, came back Sunday night." "I remember," Evelyn said. She remembered the cake and the dancing and the drive home with coffee and music. She remembered how Marcus had hugged her at the door. "I missed you," he had said. His hands had been warm on her back. "He told me he had a work meeting at the house," Kayla went on. "He said I could go to Myers, but I forgot my laptop, so I came back around 5. There was a black Lexus in the driveway." "A black Lexus," Evelyn repeated. "Yeah, I figured it was a client. I didn't want to embarrass him, so I came in quiet. When I walked past the office, the door was cracked. I saw Dad and this woman. She was sitting on the desk. They were kissing." Kayla's voice dropped on the last word. She looked down at her sneakers. "He looked up and saw me. He told me it was a dumb mistake. He said he'd fix it. He told me not to tell you because it would hurt you for no reason." Evelyn's mouth was dry. "What did you say?" "I told him he had to tell you. He said he would. He said it was over." Kayla's throat worked. But it wasn't. Evelyn forced her mind to stay slow. "How do you know that?" "I saw her again in July. And last week." Kayla shot her mother a quick look and then stared at the wall. "She came here when you were at work on Thursday. I heard them in the kitchen. She called him baby. He called her Sam." Kayla blinked fast. "Her name is Samantha." Evelyn's vision tightened at the edges, like the room was a tunnel. "And today?" she asked, voice steady by some miracle. Kayla bit her lip. "Today I heard something worse." "Tell me." Kayla's hands twisted together again. "I was coming downstairs to get my charger, and I heard Dad in his office. He didn't know I was there. He was talking to someone on speaker. It was that woman. I recognized her voice. She said something like, the accident will look natural. And Dad said, it has to look clean, not with the policy." Kayla's face crumpled, then tightened again. She forced herself to keep going. "Mum, I think they're planning to hurt you. I think they want you gone." Evelyn's first thought was impossible. Then it was possible. Then it was probable. The words she'd heard through the door aligned with Kayla's story like puzzle pieces. Her heart thudded dull and heavy. "Okay," she said, surprising herself with how calm she sounded. "Okay. Thank you for telling me." Kayla looked like she might cry or scream. "Are you mad at me?" "Mad!" Evelyn pulled her daughter close. "No, baby. Number, I'm proud of you." She held her tightly and felt the tremble in Kayla's shoulders. "You did the right thing." They sat like that for a long minute, the rain steady outside, the house still as if it were waiting for its cue. Finally, Evelyn let go and stood. She walked to the window and stared at the driveway where she had planted rosemary and knockout roses last spring. She remembered Marcus helping her lay mulch, the way he had laughed when she smudged dirt on his cheek. She remembered him teaching Kayla to ride a bike on this very street. Memory and the present sat side by side, stubborn and confusing. "Tell me more about her," Evelyn said, still looking outside. "She's maybe early 30s, long hair, dark. She wore your favorite perfume." Kayla said it softly, like she knew it would sting. "She drives a black Lexus with a parking pass hanging from the mirror. I tried to take a picture, but I was shaking and it came out blurry." "Where did she park? In the driveway?" Sometimes down the street, and they walked." Evelyn turned back. Did he ever say anything to you that felt like a threat?" "Number. He told me it was grown-up stuff. He told me to stay out of it. He said it would all be fine." Evelyn nodded once. "Okay." They were quiet again. The silence was heavy but clear. Kayla's eyes searched her mother's face. "What are you going to do?" Evelyn didn't know yet. She wanted to scream. She wanted to break something. She wanted to rush into the dark and run until her legs gave out. But she also wanted to keep her daughter safe. That last want was the boss of the others. "We're going to be smart," she said. "We're going to be careful. And we're not going to let him see us panic." Kayla swallowed. "Should we call the police?" "Not yet," Evelyn said. "We need proof. Right now, it's our word against his. And he can talk." She took a breath. "We watch. We listen. We don't confront. Not yet." Kayla nodded. Relief and fear flickered together across her face. "Okay." Evelyn walked to her closet and pulled out a small fireproof box from the top shelf. Inside were passports, their marriage certificate, Kayla's birth certificate, and a stack of papers related to the house. She flipped through them with quick fingers. Nothing obvious. No life insurance policy in there. Her stomach sank. Not with the policy. It echoed. What if he already... Kayla started but stopped. Evelyn closed the box and slid it back. "We're not going to guess," she said. "We're going to find out." Her phone buzzed on the nightstand. A text from Marcus. "Running late. Don't wait up. Love you. No heart. No kiss. Just tidy words." Evelyn stared at the screen. Then she put the phone face down. "Can you do something for me?" she asked Kayla. "Anything. If you ever hear them again, record it. Don't put yourself in danger. But if you can press record without being seen, do it." Kayla hesitated. "Is that illegal?" "It's legal in Texas to record if one person in the conversation knows," Evelyn said. "But even if I'm wrong about that, we need something. Audio, video, a time, a date." Kayla nodded slowly. "Okay. I'll do the same," Evelyn said. "And I'll look through the office, carefully." "What if he catches you? Then I'll say I was looking for the stapler." She tried to smile. It almost worked. They went downstairs together. Evelyn made tea they didn't drink and opened the dishwasher. They didn't load. They moved through the kitchen like they were in a play, hitting marks, saying lines. At 10:15, the garage door rumbled. Marcus came in shaking raindrops from his jacket. "It is coming down," he said, like a man returning from an ordinary night. He kissed Kayla's hair, kissed Evelyn's forehead. "You two up late?" Movie night? Couldn't sleep, Evelyn said. I made tea. He poured himself a mug and leaned against the counter. I guess I earned this. He smiled at Kayla. What's new, kiddo? Kayla shrugged. Homework. You're a star, he said. He opened the fridge and took out a leftover container. Gumbo round 2, he said. Don't judge me. No judgment, Evelyn said softly. He ate standing up, stirring with a fork, steam fogging his glasses. Tomorrow, he said, pointing the fork like a pen, I'm taking you both to brunch. That spot on Westheimer you like? My treat. Sounds nice, Evelyn said. Great, he said, and kissed her again. His lips were warm. I'm going to shower and crash. He left the kitchen. The air he'd stirred closed in behind him. Kayla stood frozen for a second, then looked at her mother. Evelyn shook her head. Not now. Kayla nodded and went to her room. In the quiet, Evelyn washed 2 clean mugs because her hands needed work. She dried them and placed them back on the shelf. Then she walked down the hall to the office. The door was open now. She stood in the doorway, listening. The shower started upstairs. She stepped in. The office smelled like paper and mint gum. His laptop was closed. His phone was in his pocket upstairs. The desk drawers were neat. Pens aligned. Folders labeled. She opened the middle drawer and found nothing but sticky notes and a stapler. She crouched to open the bottom file drawer. Deeds. Closing documents. Tax returns. She flipped through with fast, careful hands. Then she saw his handwriting on a tab. Insurance. Her mouth went dry. She pulled the folder out and opened it on the desk. Car, health, dental, and life. There it was. A life insurance policy in her name. New. Updated 2 weeks ago. The beneficiary line made her vision shimmer. Primary. Marcus Miller. Her fingers hovered. She didn't take a photo. She didn't touch anything longer than needed. She slid the documents back exactly as she found them and closed the drawer with a soft click. She stood for a second, one hand on the desk, breathing in and out. Upstairs, the shower turned off. Pipes groaned. The house was suddenly full of little sounds again. The tick of the clock, the drip under the sink, the rain easing to a mist. Evelyn turned off the office light and walked into the hall. She looked up the stairs, then back at the closed drawer. She felt 2 lives pulling at her. The one she had lived. The one she was about to live. She went to Kayla's room and knocked softly. The door opened at once. Kayla's eyes were wide. Evelyn kept her voice low. You were right. Kayla swallowed. About the policy? Evelyn nodded. It's new. Kayla's hands balled into fists inside her sleeves. Mom. Evelyn put a finger to her lips. Tomorrow, she whispered. We start tomorrow. How? We'll talk in the car, Evelyn said. On the way to brunch. Kayla nodded. Then she stepped forward and hugged her mother, sudden and tight. I'm scared, she breathed. I know, Evelyn said into her daughter's hair. Me too. They let go. Evelyn smoothed Kayla's curls and forced a small, steady smile. Try to sleep. Okay. If you haven't subscribed yet, I'd love you to join our community by hitting the subscribe button. Through our stories, we build hope and give future to children and women abused all over the world. Motivate us by subscribing to hitting the subscribe button and turning on your notification bell. Also, let us know in the comments where you are watching us from and how this story hit home for you. Evelyn went to her room and climbed into bed. Marcus came out of the bathroom a few minutes later, towel around his shoulders, clean and warm. He slid in beside her and reached for her hand under the covers. She let him take it. His thumb traced little circles on her skin, the same circles he had traced the night they brought Kayla home from the hospital, the same circles he had traced when Evelyn's father died. Big week, he said in the dark. But I've got us. You know that, right? I know, she said. Her voice sounded steady. That surprised her. Good. he said and kissed her hair. He turned over and was asleep within minutes. Evelyn stared at the ceiling. The rain had thinned to a soft tick, like quiet fingers tapping glass. She took slow breaths, counting them, 1 to 10 and back down, until the numbers stopped helping and the anger came in waves. She let it wash through her and then away. She pictured Kayla's face when she said you were right. She pictured the insurance folder. She pictured a black Lexus. She ran a plan like a string through her mind. Proof, safety, calm. She repeated those 3 words until they felt like a shield. Down the hall, a loose stair creaked on its own as the wood settled. The house whispered its small nighttime sounds. And somewhere in that quiet, Evelyn decided she would not be the one to disappear. She would be the one to watch, to wait, to learn the truth, every ugly piece, and then to act. The rain finally stopped. The streetlights threw soft halos onto the wet street. In that dim light, with her husband asleep beside her and her daughter safe down the hall, Evelyn closed her eyes and listened to the house breathe. Morning would come, and with it, the first step. Morning in Houston came bright and wet, the streets still shining from last night's rain. The Saturday sun pushed through the blinds, and the air felt like it always does after a storm, clean on the surface, heavy underneath. Evelyn woke before Marcus. She lay still, counting her breaths the way she had in the dark, then slipped out of bed and texted Kayla, 10 minutes, meet me in the car. By the time Marcus stirred, the house smelled like coffee and laundry soap. He stretched and called down the hall, brunch day. His voice carried that cheerful rhythm he used when he wanted to set a mood. Evelyn called back, we're already in the car, we'll warm the seats, and she meant it. She didn't want him near Kayla without a plan. They drove down Westheimer with the radio low. The city was busy already, tires hissing on damp pavement, folks in Astros caps, joggers dodging puddles. The restaurant he liked sat on a corner with big windows and fake ivy threaded through a patio fence. Inside, the host knew Marcus by name. He smiled. Marcus smiled back. It was all very friendly. At the table, Marcus pulled out chairs for both of them. My ladies, he said, and flashed that practiced grin. Mimosas? Orange juice for the kid? Water's fine, Kayla said. Same, Evelyn said. They ordered eggs and pancakes and bacon. Marcus talked about a builder in Katy and a fancy open house in River Oaks that needed a string quartet. He told it funny, his hands moving, turning stress into charm. Evelyn watched him like a scientist observing an experiment, each gesture a note in her head. He didn't know she was studying. After we eat, he said, maybe we swing by the Galleria. Check out that mattress place. He winked. Kayla kept her face still and poked at her pancakes. I have homework, she said. Ah, the eternal killjoy, Marcus said with a grin. All right, after I run by the office, I'll grab you both ice cream and come home. Deal? Sure, Evelyn said, because saying no would be a tell. She reached for her water, hand steady. When the check came, Marcus paid, slid a nice tip under the plate, and stood. Office is 5 minutes away. I'll be quick. He kissed Evelyn's forehead, squeezed Kayla's shoulder, and walked out into the bright morning like a good man with a busy life. They watched him go. When the door closed, Kayla leaned in. What now? Evelyn kept her eyes on the window. We watch him go into the office, she said. We wait 20 minutes to be sure he's inside. Then we park where he can't see us. We look for her car. The Lexus, Kayla said. The black one. They left cash on the table for 2 waters and slipped out. The air felt hotter, the sun climbing fast. They drove slow, keeping distance, letting other cars fill the space. Marcus's office was a modern low-rise near the Galleria, glass front, palms in planters, a flag flapping high above the street. He parked, walked in, the door glossing over him. Evelyn circled the block, then slid into a spot behind a burrito place, half hidden by a delivery truck. They waited. Kayla scrolled her phone with her thumb but wasn't really scrolling. You think she'll come? she asked. If he called her after brunch, maybe, Evelyn said. He's cocky when he's happy. 10 minutes later, traffic shifted. A black Lexus eased into the lot and took a corner space like it belonged there. The driver's door opened. A woman stepped out in dark jeans and a loose white shirt. She had long brown hair pulled into a low twist and sunglasses that looked expensive. She shut the door with a soft push and stood a second, adjusting her purse strap, checking her phone. Even from a distance, she carried a quiet confidence, like the building was an accessory. Kayla's breath caught. That's her, she whispered. That's Samantha. Evelyn's chest went tight. She watched the woman glance at her reflection in the glass, tuck a guy's strand of hair and head for the door. For a beat, Evelyn thought about staying put. Safe was smart, but smart also needed proof. She made her decision. I'm going in, she said. Mum, stay here. If I text you a red heart, come in and cause a scene. If I text you a green check, stay put. Kayla swallowed hard, then nodded. Be careful. Evelyn grabbed her purse and walked into the heat. She crossed the lot, eyes on the glass, timed her steps with the automatic door. She entered the lobby just as Samantha reached the elevator. The elevator doors slid open with a soft ding. Samantha stepped in. Evelyn slipped in after her. The doors closed. They stood side by side. Inside the small space, she could smell it, the faint whisper of Evelyn's favorite perfume. It hit like a slap. Samantha blinked behind her sunglasses, then slid them down her nose and looked. She didn't startle. She smiled. You must be Evelyn, she said, like they were meeting at a PTA meeting. Evelyn kept her voice low. And you must be Samantha. Sam, the woman said, like it mattered. She extended a hand. Her nails were pale pink, shaped neat. We can be friendly. Evelyn didn't take the hand. The elevator climbed. The little screen blinked 2, then 3. You know, it's brave, Samantha went on, letting her hand drop. Confronting me like this. The smile was casual and sharp at the same time. He told me you were strong. Evelyn felt her stomach flip and leveled her voice. He tells me a lot of things. Samantha's eyes held hers. There was a hard glint deep in them, like a polished stone. He tells me too. The elevator opened. They stepped into a carpeted hallway washed in cool air. A receptionist at a desk looked up from a computer. She smiled, the professional smile of someone who sees everything but says nothing. Good morning. Morning, Evelyn said. Morning, Samantha echoed, smooth. Down the hall, Marcus's office door was closed. Evelyn didn't turn her head. She faced Samantha like the hall was empty. I have a question, Evelyn said. Are you planning to hurt me? Samantha's smile didn't move for a breath. Then it shifted by a degree. That's dramatic. Answer me. Samantha leaned in, just a little, enough to share her breath. Evelyn, she said softly, you should take care of yourself. Driving is so dangerous in this city. People are wild. Good, Evelyn said. Then you know to use your turn signal. From behind the receptionist's desk, a phone rang. The receptionist picked up. The world kept turning. Samantha tucked her sunglasses into her hair and let her gaze slide past Evelyn to the closed office door. He's going to call you, she said. He's going to say you're overreacting. He's going to say whatever you need to hear. He's very good at that. Evelyn's jaw tightened. I know what he's good at. Samantha's smile tilted almost kindly. Then you also know he hates mess. He wants a clean life. You could make this easier. For who? Evelyn asked. For everyone, Samantha said like it was obvious. There's enough to go around. The office door opened. Marcus stepped out with a client folder, his face lit up, voice mid-sentence, then froze. The folder dipped an inch. He recovered fast. Ladies, he said, turning the smile up to its brightest setting. What a surprise. Samantha laid a hand on his arm like it belonged there. We ran into each other in the elevator. Evelyn looked at the hand, then at him. We did, she said slowly. Houston's a small town, right? The receptionist glanced down again, a little too interested in her screen. Marcus laughed, gentle, casual. Well, since fate brought us together, Evelyn, Sam handles marketing for the new build in Katy. I told you about her. He said it like a line he'd practiced in The Mirror. We were just going over staging, right, Sam? Samantha's smile didn't flicker. Right, she said. Evelyn raised an eyebrow. We should all get coffee, she said. Clear the air. Marcus's eyes darted just once, then settled. Great idea, but not now. He squeezed Samantha's hand off his arm like he was being playful and not trying to send a message. I've got a call. Of course, Samantha said. She turned back to Evelyn. You look tired, she added softly, almost like concern. Get some rest. Evelyn stepped closer. I sleep fine, she said. You might not soon. For 1 second, the mask slipped. Samantha's gaze hardened. Then she smiled again, perfect, and walked down the hall, hips steady, pace unhurried. Marcus exhaled. Evelyn, he said, tone warm and firm, like he was soothing a tricky client. What are you doing? Meeting your marketing expert, she said. He glanced at the receptionist, then took Evelyn by the elbow and guided her toward the lobby, like it was his office, like he owned the air. Don't do this, he whispered. Please. Do what? Make a scene. I haven't made anything yet, she said. But you keep going the way you're going, and I will. They reached the elevator. He pressed the button, jaw tight. I love you, he said under his breath. You know that. The doors opened. Evelyn stepped in. Prove it, she said, and let the doors close on his face. Outside, the heat hit again, thick as a blanket. Evelyn walked straight to the car. Kayla sat forward as soon as she saw her. Red heart or green check? Green, Evelyn said, sliding in and locking the doors. Her hands shook now that she was safe. She's real. Kayla squeezed her arm. I know. She used my perfume, Evelyn said, the words flat with hurt. I'm sorry, Kayla whispered. They sat a minute, the air conditioner blowing. Behind them, the black Lexus was still in its spot, polished and smug. Evelyn took out her phone and opened the camera. She zoomed and snapped a photo of the plate. It came out crisp. She took another. Then she put the phone down and stared at her own reflection in the windshield. Okay, she said. Next step. What is it? We live our day, she said. We act normal, and we gather proof. They did. They went home. Marcus showed up mid-afternoon with ice cream like he'd promised, smiling and sunny. He told a joke. He played a song in the kitchen and tried to make Kayla dance. Kayla kept it light, dodging his hands with a grin that didn't touch her eyes. Evelyn laughed at the right places and asked about the Katy project. She listened. She tucked every word away. Later, near dusk, Evelyn realized they were out of milk and drove to the Kroger on West Gray. She hummed along to the radio and let herself think about nothing for 5 minutes. The store was cool and bright, the air smelling like fruit and bleach. She grabbed milk, bread, a bag of lemons. At the checkout, she used cash. She didn't want a receipt to land in the bowl by the door. Back in the parking lot, she started the car and put her foot on the brake. It sank lower than normal, just a little, soft under her shoe. She frowned and tried again. Software. She shifted into reverse and rolled back. When she braked, the pedal went down too easy and the car slowed with a lazy lag that tightened every muscle in her body. She shifted to park and sat still, heart thudding. She took a breath. She pulled forward again, slowly, then pressed the brake. Soft, spongy, wrong. The car stopped, but later than it should have. Her palms were slick. She turned off the engine, got out and crouched by the front wheel wells, then the back. The asphalt was dark, so a leak would hide, but still, by the rear passenger tire, the pavement looked wet in a fresh way that wasn't rain. She reached out with 2 fingers and touched. Slick. She brought her fingers to her nose. Chemical, not water. Her stomach turned. Brake fluid. Evelyn straightened and looked around the lot, mind clicking fast. Anybody watching? No one obvious. She went back into the store and found the small auto aisle near the batteries. She grabbed a cheap flashlight. At the service desk, she asked, "Is there a security guard tonight?" The woman nodded toward a man near the entrance. He looked bored, hands on his belt. Evelyn asked him to walk out with her. "Just want to check something under my car," she said, and smiled like she didn't have a storm in her chest. He followed. She crouched again and shone the light under the car. A tiny drip formed and fell, fat and shiny. Drip, drip. The guard whistled low. "That's not good," he said. "No," she said evenly. "Do you know a tow?" "Yeah," he said, and gave her a number. "Use the parking brake if you have to move it. Or better, don't drive it." She thanked him, stepped aside, and called the tow. While she waited, she texted Kayla, "Running late. Stay with him. Keep it light. I'll explain later. I love you." Then she texted a neighbor, Mrs. Cortez, to say she might borrow their spare driveway spot for an hour. Finally, she texted herself the words, "soft pedal, drip by rear, cap." She wanted a record of how she figured it out. Dates, times, details. The tow truck hauled her car to a small shop a few miles away that stayed open late on weekends. The mechanic, a man in his 50s with a kind face and a Houston Dynamo cap, slid under the chassis with a light and rolled back out in 2 minutes. "You got a leak," he said. "Rear line's wet, and your master cylinder cap is loose." "Loose how?" Evelyn asked. He held up his hands. "As in not tight. Could be vibration, could be someone topped you off and didn't twist it down good. Could be a bad cap." He studied her face a beat. "You look scared." "Just tired," she said, steady. "Can you fix it tonight?" "I can snug the cap, clean it, top you off, and tell you to come back Monday for a full check," he said. "Don't drive far. Brakes aren't a joke." "I know," she said. She paid cash again. She didn't call Marcus. She drove home slow, hands 10 and 2, eyes hard on the road. Every red light felt like a test. She passed each one and exhaled in small, quiet bursts. The house glowed warm when she pulled in. Inside, the TV murmured, and Kayla sat curled in a corner of the couch, phone in hand. Marcus was on the other end, heading down the hall. He turned when he heard the door. "There she is," he said. "You okay?" "Traffic," Evelyn said. He nodded, unbothered. "I'm going to jump in the shower. Long day." He kissed her cheek and walked away, humming. As soon as the bathroom door clicked, Kayla was at her mother's side. "What happened?" "Heads up," Evelyn whispered, keeping her smile on for any camera that might not exist. "My brakes. Something was wrong." Kayla's eyes widened. "Oh my God." "Don't react," Evelyn said gently. "Not yet." Kayla swallowed. "I did what you said. When he took a call earlier, I recorded. They were talking about logistics." Evelyn's skin prickled. "Good." "I also checked his study when he was on the porch with Mr. Daniels," Kayla said, voice low and quick. "Mum, he has printed emails with an insurance agent. There's a line that says, 'Policy changes finalized,' and there's a calendar reminder, Thursday 9 p.m., garage." Evelyn's breath caught. "Let me see." Kayla shook her head. "I couldn't take pictures. He came back too fast, but..." She held up her phone. "I did get this." She pressed play on a quiet audio file. Marcus's voice came through, faint but clear, the way it sounds when someone leans away from a phone. "It has to look natural. Nothing messy." A woman's voice answered, smooth and low. "Samantha. I loosened the cap today. It'll start soft. She won't notice until..." The shower roared on down the hall. The recording ended there, as if cut by a sudden move. Kayla swallowed. I heard footsteps and stopped it. Evelyn stared at her daughter, the phone warm in her hand, the air humming around her. For a second, the room blurred. Then it sharpened again, every outline bright. Proof, safety, calm. The words clicked back into place. She closed her fingers around Kayla's hand. You saved me, she whispered. Kayla's lip trembled. We have to go to the police, right? Evelyn reached for strength inside her and found it. Soon, she said. Very soon. From the hallway, the shower shut off. Water dripped. Pipes sighed. Marcus's shadow moved under the door. The house went quiet except for the tick of the hallway clock. Evelyn slipped the phone into her pocket and straightened her shoulders. She didn't raise her voice. She didn't run. She turned toward the dark hall where the steam drifted from the bathroom like a cloud, and for the first time since the whisper behind the door, she felt something close to steady. Thursday, 9 p.m. Garage. She could work with a date and a time. She looked at Kayla and nodded once. We set the trap, she said softly, and we make sure it shuts.